All right, so what I'm going to be covering today is going to be in the realm of conditioning. So, conditioning, in a sense, we all know it as an individual running, sprinting, really increasing the heart rate in order to handle specific amounts of stress in their time. And so, at least that's my definition. Uh, One thing that I specifically wanted to go over today was Tabata training. So, Tabata training, just to give a quick overview, it was brought on in 1996 by a Japanese scientist with the name of Izumi Tabata. Who would have known? And so, what Izumi was doing was that he was going over or comparing a study between moderate intensity continuous training and high intensity interval training. And so, the difference between the two was that the moderate intensity brought on about 70% of one's VO2 max. And in comparison, the high intensity interval training brought on one's VO2 max of 170%. So very big difference sitting within that. And what he found, which was interesting to create such a large craze to this, was that although the high intensity interval training was very small in the sense of the timing, roughly about 4 minutes it lasted, it brought on the same amount of aerobic change and capacity to those individuals as the moderate intensity brought on. And also, in addition to that, it increased the individual's anaerobic capacity. And so their ability to generate force and increase their oxygen output under short amounts of time was increased through the roof, which, that definitely brought on a craze to where people believe that this was going to be and it is. It's a new thing, and it's a new type of training style. Now people look at, you could also say it's metabolic conditioning, right? It increases or maximizes the amount of calories that you can burn just in one workout. People do this in various different ways, specifically when we speak to the Tabata, right? So Tabata, it's performed 20 seconds on or 20 seconds of work, and then 10 seconds off, 10 seconds of rest. And so you have a list of exercises, about 8 exercises, and you can perform each exercise. You can go down the list. You can stay at one for an X amount of time, for 4 sets, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, then move to the next. You can do various combinations with Tabata training, but the biggest thing, the key point of it is to be 20 seconds off, 20 seconds on, and 10 seconds off. This is where a lot of the change does happen, right? It increases the heart rate to a very high level because of the continuous work the body has to go through, how much oxygen the body wants to find, because now oxygen is being utilized more and more and more without a lot of recovery. And so one thing that I found interesting about this entire training, because I performed it, and I'll show you this at the end, is that it really does give you a kick. It's about being able to really fight through the ability to find oxygen, but your body will adapt to it. And this is not something that I recommend for beginners who just started to work out, because it can lead to heavy fatigue. And so that's not something like I said, I would recommend to beginners, but this is something I would recommend to intermediate individuals, people who have been working out for a while, who can take their aerobic capacity to another level. And so one thing, or a couple other things that I want to cover, is that, when training with this style, it's very important to watch how an individual performs. Like I said, it's meant for intermediate trainees, right? Because of how fast and how quick the movements have to be performed and how little rest there is, compensations will be seen. Okay, and so compensations such as rounded backs, forward heads, the hips out of place, knee valgus, knee varus, bending of the ankles, asymmetrical shifts in the hip, all of these things can come into play, and an individual can become really hurt. And so, even when practicing with athletes, it's very important that if you're going to use this with an athlete to increase their training, right? My suggestion is use movements that the athlete knows or the individual knows. Do not use movements that are unfamiliar to the individual, right? It's not about how special or how creative you can make the workout, but it is how efficient, how specific you can make the workout to the individual's goals. And right, so when we speak to goals and we speak to Tabata training, if we, for example, were to look at let's say a football player, right, you can add an workout such as a deadlift or a tire flip, squats, which are base movements, push-ups, jumps, lateral shuffles, lateral shifts. You can do body crawls, different things, but these things can be applied to the individual sport. And so that's one big thing that, I have seen. I have watched people throw and create these amazing, amazing workouts, but the individual or athlete doesn't know how to perform them, or it's not even right for their sport. And so that's one side of caution that I want to air to everybody. And so let me give you an example. So I'm going to show you a video. And so in the video, I go over different types of movements. And so the movements fall through, it's a kettlebell swing, kettlebell dumbbell thrusters. I go through tire flips. I go through sledgehammer slams, med ball 180 slams. I go through mountain climbers. I go through plate burpees as well as lateral lunges. And so if you kind of can see what I'm going to be doing in this video, and something that I would suggest is that when you plan these workouts, look at every plane that the body moves in. Plan to use every plane so that it's efficient and that it makes sense. It's quote unquote functional, right? That term is used very loosely around the communities in fitness and sport. But make sure it's functional. Use different abilities that the body can perform. And so, as I'm going to go through it, you are going to see that this really did give me a good kick in the ... We'll just leave it at that. But I have a timer running, so you can see at the bottom. Okay, so as you can see, I'm performing kettlebell swings. All right, and so in this movement, you want to make sure that you are watching for the shoulders to round. You are watching if, in the event that the knees are caving in, the head is moving forward. You want to perform this movement with a nice solid core. And here it goes, a 10-second rest. Now I'm moving to the kettlebell thruster. So it's a squat to an overhead press. Same things, every movement chain applies. Look at the ankles, the knees, the hips, the shoulders, the neck, making sure that it's quite efficient. Okay? And so everything, again, that you see at the bottom of the timer, it's going to run for 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. The next movement that I'm going to be completing, and I'm going to get there, is it's going to be a tire flip. So a tire flip, it mimics a deadlift, right? It's a quick, powerful move that can mimic a deadlift. And so as I'm going through this, there's going to be times when I'm going to slow down, right? And that's obviously notating that that's when the capacity starts to really get to me personally. And if you can only imagine how an individual or another athlete would feel, I suggest feeling it for yourself. Okay? So always make sure you always have a watch handy, making sure you're keeping on time. And again, I cannot stress this enough. Continue to watch the form of an individual. Ensure that everything is moving properly. If in the event that an individual does break their form, stop the exercise. It doesn't hurt to stop the exercise, reteach them the movement, and then try it again. Right? At the end of the day, not everybody's perfect, but it's the essence of being able to complete the movement properly and not hurt anybody. That's the main thing. So I'm going to let this video kind of run through, right? And then as we come to the end, I'll come back and kind of go over what we've seen. So as you've seen, so that's the entire workout that I completed under Tabata style training. Uh, Disclaimer, I did it once. I don't think I could do any more sets after that. That was quite rough. But as you noticed in the video, there was all those movements that I was speaking to, and I moved through every single plane, such as the sagittal, the frontal, and the transverse plane, to ensure that it was efficient, that it was quote unquote functional for just what I do. And so, just a quick recap. Okay, so Tabata training. It's a 20-second on, 10-second off style type of training. It can be arranged in multiple types of ways. You can have a single type of movement, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, or you can do multiple types of movements. It can be, like I said, it is at your discretion to be as creative as possible. Be sure that it is specifically programmed for an individual to what they're doing. So if it's for an athlete, identify the specific moves or the needs of this athlete. If it's for a general population, right, look at what they can and cannot do. And if they're looking for weight loss, then this is obviously a great opportunity due to the high caloric burn from it. But identify the moves they cannot and cannot do. Make sure that everything is specific. Also, if in the event that you do see posture distortions or any compensations, please review it with the individual or athlete. Reteach. Use every cue, such as visual, audio, physical. Make sure to use everything you can to reteach the movement so that therefore they can identify the movement and then allow them to perform it again. If you see that it doesn't work, stop the movement and change the workout itself. Hopefully this does give a good idea of what Tabata training is, and I hope each of you can try it out for yourselves and let me know below how you like it or if this is something that you ever want to try again. All right, have a great day.